Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Healthy Over 50 podcast. I am Liliane Roux, women's health and performance coach, and today we're going to talk about something that impacts almost every aspect of our health: sugar. Now, sugar itself is not the enemy. Your body actually needs glucose for energy. The problem today is that many people are consuming sugar constantly throughout the day through processed foods, snacks, soft drinks, pastries, hidden sugars, and refined carbohydrates. And over time, this can affect your energy, your hormones, your weight, your mood, your sleep, your digestion, and your long-term health. So today, I want to walk you through what actually happens inside your body when you consume sugar. Because once you understand the process, everything starts making much more sense. So, sugar enters the bloodstream quickly. When you eat sugary foods like chocolate, sweets, pastries, soft drinks, or refined carbohydrates like white bread and pasta, your digestive system rapidly breaks them down into glucose. That glucose enters your bloodstream and causes your blood sugar levels to rise. Some foods increase blood sugar slowly, while ultra-processed foods create very fast spikes, especially when foods are low in protein, fiber, and healthy fats. And this is one reason why you may feel very energized after eating sugar, but exhausted later. So then what happens? The pancreas releases insulin. Your body always wants to balance. So when blood sugar rises, your pancreas releases insulin. Insulin acts like a key. Its role is to help move glucose out of the bloodstream and into the cells where it can be used for energy. Without insulin, glucose would remain at dangerously high levels in the blood. So insulin is essential. The problem is not insulin itself. The problem begins when the body constantly has to produce too much of it. So, at first, sugar often makes you feel more alert, more energized, or, emotionally uplifted. And there is a reason for that. Sugar stimulates dopamine, one of the brain's feel-good chemicals. This is why sugary foods can feel comforting and rewarding, especially during periods of stress, fatigue, or emotional overwhelm. For many people, sugar becomes emotional support rather than true nourishment. But unfortunately, that boost is usually temporary. So you get that temporary boost, right? But then, after the sugar spike, insulin works to remove glucose from the bloodstream. But when the spike is very high, blood sugar may drop very quickly afterwards. And this is when people experience the crash. You suddenly feel tired, foggy, irritable, shaky, or craving for more sugar. And this creates the classic sugar rollercoaster. So high, crash, then cravings, high again, then another crash. And many people live in this cycle every single day without realizing it. Now, we discussed the crash and everything, but what happens to that sugar? So if your body does not immediately need all the glucose for energy, we discussed how the glucose is moved to, in theory, nourish the cells. So what happens if that glucose is not needed? Well, it's going to be stored. So some glucose is stored in the muscles and liver as glycogen. But once those storage systems are full, the excess gets converted into fat, especially around the abdomen, the liver, and internal organs. And after 40 and 50, this becomes even more important because hormonal changes already affect metabolism, fat storage, and insulin sensitivity. So it means that because we're getting older, our metabolism is slowing down. We tend to store more fat, and this is due to the fact that we have less estrogens. So we tend to store more fat, and we tend to become more, the sensitivity to insulin drops a bit, which means that we need more insulin to remove the sugar from the bloodstream, which means that we eventually going to store more. So all of that is kind of connected. So now, as we said, a lot of people are spending their days in this cycle, So over time, constant sugar spikes can make the cells less responsive to insulin, right? And this is called insulin resistance. So we end up having more insulin, but it doesn't work the way it used to. So then the body needs to produce more and more insulin to do the same job, right? And this may contribute to weight gain, fatigue, cravings, inflammation, hormonal imbalance, prediabetes, obviously, that makes sense, and eventually type 2 diabetes. So many people think they simply lack discipline when in reality their blood sugar and hormones are completely dysregulated. And it is important because a lot of people, as we are enjoying sugar and we get the dopamine high from it, people fail to realize that excess sugar may also increase inflammation in the body. And inflammation can affect the joints, the gut, the skin. So we may have itchy skin, the brain, we feel very foggy, the hormones, and the cardiovascular system. Because if we start storing fat, we start having other challenges. So this is really, and it may worsen, that's where we see more arthritis, bloating, fatigue, brain fog, hot flushes, and chronic pain. So all of that is connected. Sugar impacts hormones and mood, obviously. So, it's important to understand that it has an impact on cortisol, which is the stress hormone, insulin, estrogen balance, and appetite hormones. So this may lead to mood swings, anxiety, poor sleep, emotional eating, low energy, and constant cravings. So many women notice this even more after 40. And on top of that, imagine if you're working in a very stressful environment, this is not going to help because you're going to struggle even more because your body is not going to support you when it comes to stress. But you can watch or listen to one of the previous episodes around stress that I've done. Obviously, sugar affects gut health. A diet high in sugar may also negatively impact the gut microbiome. Sugar tends to feed harmful bacteria in the gut, and over time, this may contribute as well to more bloating, digestive issues, inflammation, and cravings. And interestingly, gut health also affects your mood, your immunity, your mental health, and hunger signals. So it is important to realize that not all sugar is equal. And this is quite important. Not all sugar is the same. Natural sugars found in fruits, vegetables, and whole foods come with fiber, vitamins, mineral, and antioxidants. These are digested much more slowly, and usually they do not create the same dramatic spike, insulin spikes. So the biggest issue generally comes from ultra-processed foods, sugary drinks, refined flour products, and of course, the frequent snacking on sugar. Now, what are the signs, that your blood sugar may be unstable? Some of the common signs include energy crashes, cravings, brain fogs, fatigue after meals, irritability, bloating, headaches, poor concentration, constant hunger, or obviously difficulty losing weight. How can we stabilize blood sugar? Well, the good news is that small daily habits can make a huge difference. Helpful strategies include eating protein with meals, including healthy fats, increasing fiber, reducing ultra-processed food, sleeping well. And we have an episode around sleep actually, so you may want to watch this episode on the podcast. Managing stress, we have an episode on that. And moving your body regularly. Now, movement doesn't have to be like crazy spin classes or crazy aerobic classes. That could be walking. That could be using your stationary bike at home. We just want to move the legs, right? Because your legs are your biggest muscle group. We just want to move them. So find your movement. And of course, it's about eating balanced meals consistently. Because when blood sugar is stable, you often feel calmer, more focused, more energized, less hungry, and emotionally more balanced. Your body is always communicating with you. Cravings, fatigue, energy crashes, brain fog, and bloating. And often signs that your body needs more support, more balance. These are the signs. And the beautiful thing is that even small changes, done consistently can create powerful transformations over time. Thank you so much for listening to the Healthy Over 50 podcast. I am Liliane Roux, but you can call me Lily. And I am here for you. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who may benefit from it. And remember, your health, your control.